Hello and welcome to Space Shark Teaches. I'm Sean from Space Shark Studios, and I'm here to teach you GD script in Godot 3.1. Let's get started.
In this lesson, we are going to be looking at materials so that we can update the look and feel of our game. Specifically going to be going through different things such as roughness, albedo, coloring, textures, and as you can see here, emissives and lighting. All right, let's begin. All right, picking up where we stopped last, I'm going to go ahead and add a new folder in here called Sprites. And in this folder, I'm going to open in File Manager, pull this over here so you can see it, and I'm going to add 3 new files. So you can see it's a smile inverted, it's a smile with transparency, and it's an inverted smile with transparency. So in here you can see them. We're going to go ahead and import these as pixel because they look better that way. And these are the different sprites we are going to be adding to our as our textures onto the ball. So let's go ahead and look at, I think we had made, we had made a default material for our ball before. And let's go into a little bit more about what each of these fields actually is. So to start with, the albedo. So that determines the color of the ball, as well as the texture that we see on the ball. Let's go ahead and turn the ball around. Find our cameras over here. So press E to get the rotation. And rotate that around. So that way we can go and see it over here. And you can see, double click the ball, you can see this smiley face over here on the ball. So, and that works well. It's only on one side, it just wraps around. And so that's where this comes from. If you've noticed, the red only appears on the areas that aren't black. So it basically multiplies this white by whatever this color is. So let's go ahead and make that. That looks good for right now. Next, we are going to be looking at the metallic. And the metallic, as you can tell, is how metal it is. How much it looks like metal according to the lighting in the scene. So if we turn it all the way up, it becomes like metal in terms of the way that it deals with light. And usually work with metal and roughness together. If you turn it all the way down, this is basically blue metal at this point. If I change the color of this white, you can see all it does is reflect the world around it now. It is pure polished metal. And then you can tint it in different ways using this. So for this right now, we can go ahead and say, all right, we can have the metal all the way down, and it's really shiny because there's 0 roughness. So now it's like hard plastic. Or the roughness is all the way up, and the metallic's all the way up. And you see how it gets darker because it's absorbing a lot of it. This is more like brushed metal. So usually you want to find some nice balance between the two. I think I usually set it up to 0.6, 0.2. It gives it a nice shine without it being too metally or too metallic, too shiny. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and add a couple of lights so we can play around with how this looks. So let's go ahead and turn off this directional light so that these next 2 that we add, you can see how they interact a little bit easier. So hit the plus, and we're going to look for Omni lights. Pull it up, and then over and forward 2, and then duplicate it and do it on the other side as well. Oh, it did not duplicate. Control D to duplicate, then onto the other side. And you can see they kind of match up. So to be able to tell, be able to say, okay, -4 and 2, 4 and 2. So that sounds about right. One thing you do want to do is go over here into Omni and change that range, let's say up to 8. And this one up to 8 as well. And then we can go and start dealing with stuff like light. So let's make this one, what was the color I set? So make that a reddish. And the other one over here can be a bluish. That way we kind of have the two colors. And to be able to see this better, let's go ahead and set this back to white. And so now you can see the kind of dimples on the light there. If we wanted to, we could go ahead and say, let's make this energy higher. Set something like 2, or let's say 4, so you can really get that light. So now we can see the reflections, so that we can go in here and see what messing with things like the metallic really does. So with the metallic all the way down, it absorbs it all and kind of refracts it out differently. If it's all the way rough, there's no reflection. And you have kind of this, almost as if you were absorbing it onto a felt. And once again, the brushed metal, it doesn't really do anything. Or the complete metal. So that's why we have that kind of, what was it? Or no, sorry. The complete metal is like this. And that's when you don't get anything because it's not actually seeing anything. It has to absorb some in order to reflect correctly. And so that's when you get the nice little light spots showing up there. All right, so now with things like metallic and albedo and roughness, which are your 3 primaries, we're going to go a little bit into something different. Oh, one thing I forgot we're going to deal with are these metallic and roughness textures. So you can add a texture to this to give it something a little bit different. So as you can see, you can go based on alpha for the metallic, and we can do stuff like only the eyes have the shininess. If you can see, once we go outside of it, there is no reflection because this metallic is not being picked up. So you can see the change in how that metallic works. You can also do the opposite here. So if I go and do the opposite, this will bring it back and kind of blend it in until I go and say, let's use the red channel. Oh, wrong one. There we go. So now it absorbs on the black area and then it reflects on the skin, if you will. And so that's one of the other ways that you can go through and kind of alter these. You can do things also like if you play around with normal maps at some point, these won't really work too well, but let's say you can get some sort of bumpiness out of things. You can see all of a sudden the reflections get really messed up with that because it doesn't know how to properly handle this type of normal map, because these aren't legitimate normal maps. But that's another one that'll make it different levels of bumpy on the skin. Let's turn that off. And the next one we're going to be dealing with is going to be emission. And so this is where things get kind of fun. We're going to be trying to make something similar to what I showed in the early preview. To do that, we actually have to go and mess with the world environment. We're going to make a custom color of black with 0 energy, and we're going to have 0 energy in the world. You can see all of a sudden things start really changing how they look. It looks like our walls actually have some emission on them already, so we're going to turn that off so that we can really see what happens to this. First off, let's go ahead and move these lights. So the range on these is going to go up to 20, and we're going to set it at 1010, negative 1010, and also 20. And let's go ahead and leave put the energy down to 2. So it's not too bright. So now we could go and play and we can see, oh yeah, well, that just makes it really dark. It's hard to see, kind of cool, but we want things to glow. So how do we make things glow? First off, over here in this environment, we have to go over and do a couple of steps. One is this auto exposure, which brightens everything up, and that will actually change the, like if we make something over here super bright, so it's the red, so if we change this to, say, 20, 16 is the size it goes, but it blurs, it makes this blue much less blue, or much darker. So this is where you get that eye adjustment in games from. So we can turn that on if we want. Screen space reflections is what this means, and that's what causes like light reflections to look correct with the emissions. And then we're going to add on this glow. And this won't really show anything until we start adding emissives. So let's go ahead and add some emissives. So for right now, we're going to go ahead and say, let's not have any of that. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. We're going to set metallic to 0.2, roughness to 0.4, and then under this emission, let's go ahead and get a nice yellow color. As you can see, now all of a sudden there's an emission going on, but you can see it's not really interacting with anything else. So what we can do is go and say, okay, we have this floor. This floor has a material. Let's go ahead and save as, and in materials, floor mat. And we are going to change this into, let's see, we removed everything here. Metallic is going to be 0.35 and roughness at 0.95. So now it should show some glow. So you can see the reflection of the ball on this surface, which makes it kind of cool because it shows that the top of the ball is reflecting. Oh, and you can even see it reflects on the walls as well. If we went and say, turn this screen space reflection off and reran it, you can see that doesn't really happen anymore. That's where you get that reflection. That's where you get that lit up glow effect. So we turn that on and leave it on. And then we also want to go ahead and change some of these numbers as well. So we keep the glow or the intensity at 0.8, and then we change the strength to 0.6. We add some bloom, which is what causes everything to kind of have a halo around it. And then we change the blend mode to additive, and this is where you're going to see everything kind of change. So all of a sudden we have this halo around, everything got a little bit brighter. You can see also where if you turn it off, everything kind of goes away. So we could play it with it off. You see you still get a little bit of reflection, you still get a little bit of glow. So we can leave it at this. We can turn this on if we want. You can see everything kind of adjust. And this just makes sure that nothing is too out of bounds and that we don't have to mess around as much to get things to glow. Let's go ahead and turn that off for now though, and just kind of leave things closer to default. You can see that's kind of why I turn on that auto exposure, so you don't really have to mess around as much with these numbers. Let's just leave it at that for now. But we still have a problem. Our ball is just kind of glowing, and that's it. And that's where this texture adds on. So we can go ahead and say, let's go ahead and pull this in. And you can see now, because we have the operator is add, it's adding this yellow emission to whatever this texture is, which means the white stays white and everything else stays yellow. So we can go and try something like that. It doesn't really work. That just removes the face. So what we're going to do is change this operator to multiply. And so now you can see that just the eyes show up there. And we are going to crank this energy up so that you can see a glowing face that reflects on the ground when you go by. Turn this auto exposure on, you can see it gets even brighter. You can see the reflection in the floor a little bit if you can get the right spot. But so a lot of this is going to be playing around with how things work, what levels work best for you, and kind of how everything looks in your mind if it looks what you expect it to be. So finally we can go and add the walls if we want. Say, all right, let's go ahead and do that. Save it as wall mat. And then, let's see, it is reset the albedo, metallic, roughness, make sure those are all defaults. And then we can go ahead and use this green, kind of get it glowing a bit, and set the energy to 1. And we can do add, we can do multiply. It doesn't matter. If you do multiply, you have to have a texture here, or else it doesn't have anything to multiply against. And there we have it. Now we have an awesome, you can see the reflection of the wall, both on the ball and on the floor because of that roughness and the metallic. We have the red adding with the green there, the red or the blue adding with the green. You can see the ball no matter where you go. There are some other fields that you can check out. You can see the interplay of all the different colors. The ball, there's things like rim, which does its own thing. So it adds more of a glow around from what I've played with. It just adds a little bit of extra reflection all around. But yeah, that's about it. That was a pretty long video for this, but now you can make You can just play around with everything now, and you've seen how to put it all together, kind of what textures to use, what colors to use, how it all interplays between the environment, the lights, the materials, and the models that you put the materials on. That was it. See you next time.
Thank you for watching Space Shark Teaches. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel and remember to click the bell to always stay up to date. Please also join us on our Discord, linked in the comments, and check out our other videos if you ever want to see what else we've been up to. Thanks again for watching, and we can't wait to see what you make.